thing is that America freed the slaves in 1863 through the Emancipation Proclamation, but gave the slaves no land or nothing in reality. So emancipation for the Negro was really freedom to hunger. It was freedom to the winds and rains of heaven. It was freedom without food to eat or land to cultivate, and therefore it was freedom and famine at the same time.
We've gathered here today to celebrate the birthday of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Not only to celebrate his birthday, but to remember what he said. Far more important than that, to engage in the things that he did. And one of the things that Dr. King said is that our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. Things do matter today. If he were here, he would give an example of what a godly leader does and how he looks. He would welcome the stranger, not build a wall. He would suffer the children to come to him and not put them in cages. He would seek justice and not simply say there's good on both sides. If he were here, he would stand for fairness and not choose might over right. He would be an amazing example of equality and not a champion for inequality. This is the time that tries men's souls. My friends, the battle that wages today is far greater than a battle between two parties. It is the Lord's battle. It's a battle today for morality and simple common decency. It's more than a battle for obedience to the rule of law. Yes, it is a battle for God's law. We're here because he would say enough is enough, and we can't afford to be silent. One of my late mentors, the late Dr. William A. Jones of the Bethany Baptist Church of Brooklyn, New York, would always say, when trumpets are needed, flutes won't suffice. Trumpets are needed today when black and brown have been disproportionately affected through this pandemic. Trumpets are needed today when 1 in 6 Americans are on the fear of wondering where their next meal is coming from. Trumpets are needed when those who have always had the security of a home now face homelessness. Trumpets are needed. People are asking today, why is the temperature in the black community risen to such a current height of rage? They ask, and I will tell them why they're angry. They're angry because in 1619 they were chained and brought to the shores of America as chattel. They're angry because they were forced to build a democratic nation without pay. They are angry because after the Emancipation Proclamation, Jim Crow would not allow them to enjoy unrestricted freedom, because after the 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments were passed, which gave blacks equal voting rights, the black codes and segregation laws erased most of the freedoms passed by those amendments. They're angry because lynching became the preferred means of black curtailment, because Emmett Till was murdered for allegedly whistling at a white woman. They're angry because Medgar Edwards, the head of the Mississippi NAACP, was murdered in his driveway, because Addie Mae Collins, Denise McNair, Carol Robertson, and Cynthia Wesley were blown to pieces after Sunday school in a Birmingham church. They're angry because James Earl Chaney, Andrew Goodman, and Michael Shawerner were murdered and buried in an earthen dam by the KKK, and the murderers were never punished. You want to know why we're angry? They're angry because Dr. King was murdered while fighting for social and equal justice. They're angry because Alton Sterling, Renisha McBride, Sandra Bland, Trayvon Martin, Michael Brown, Freddie Gray, Philando Castile, Eric Gardner, Tamir Rice, Breonna Taylor, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, and too many more were killed by cops or wannabe cops who exercise murderous authority over them. When trumpets are needed, flutes won't suffice.
We shall overcome someday. Deep in my heart, I do believe that we shall overcome someday. We shall all be free. Yes, we shall all be free. We shall all be free someday. Oh, deep in my heart, I still believe that we shall all be free someday. And we'll walk hand in hand, I believe. We'll walk hand in hand.
God has had enough of this insolence. He's had enough of indifference. He's had enough of inequity and inequality. God, I say, has had enough of tweeted irrelevancy and human immaturity. He's had enough of hearts that lack charity and condone racial atrocity. God has had enough of autocratic extremity and man-made supremacy. God has had enough of governmental irresponsibility by an obstinate majority. We're here because we're joining in the words of Dr. King. Enough is enough, because God shall break the pieces of the oppressor. He shall call the righteous to the front lines. He shall call the godly to action, the chosen to their sacred work. He shall call the ordained to their prophetic task, the anointed to their mission fields, the empowered to service, because enough is enough. Our lives begin to end when we become silent about the things that matter.
That we shall overcome someday.